After a bit of a longer break than we were expecting for the 1UP Nitro National Series, we are back once again for race number 11 of the 2024 1UP Nitro National Series season, and we're here in the streets of Quebec at Trois Rivieres for 31 laps around these tight streets where a lot can happen in a short amount of time, so these guys are going to have to be fully prepared for anything, and they're going to get it over the course of the next 31 trips around the city here today. And alongside me to bring you all the action once again is Duke Ansack for today's race. And where do I even get started? A lot has happened since we were last with you at Richmond. We've got some new drivers making their first starts. We've got some old drivers coming back. But most importantly, we've got a driver on pole today who feels like the country owes him one after what happened in the Superstar Series a couple years ago.
Absolutely, and this race is going to be a ton of fun to watch. I mean, imagine driving through the city, how hectic, how chaotic that is. The city streets, so bumpy, so narrow, and now imagine doing it at 100 miles an hour. And that's exactly what all these drivers are going to be dealing with today. It is going to be so much fun to watch them navigate this course. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of great passing zones at this track, a lot of high-speed sections as well. So it's going to be great. And I think that these drivers are up for the challenge. It's going to be very fascinating to see how it all plays out.
Absolutely, and as we can now bring you the starting lineup for today's 31-lap affair, as I mentioned, driver on pole who's been looking for a win for a really long time, Henry Thomas will lead us to the green flag, and like I said, he feels like this is owed for him. Remember what happened in the Superstar Series at Montreal a few years back. He dominated that race, only to lose out to Devon Fair in the closing stages. So he feels like this place owes him one. He is back to lead the charge, and he's got Logan Williams alongside him looking for his second career win in the series. Talked about some new guys. We got J.R. Bedard in the number 40 car this week. He grew up on these streets, so it's great to see him making his series debut here in front of the hometown crowd. We'll see how he fares today. And a name we have not heard in quite a long time for the Nitro National Series, but one you'll instantly recognize if you've been around long enough. Alexa Luchon back in the series, going to aim for a full-time return in 2025, but for now, going to assist Crossroads Racing this week. She starts 20th in car number 30, but there's so many other stories to talk about today. We got Nicky Martinez, who won this race last year, starting 5th. We've got Cameron Brennan, a legend on the road courses back in his native country. He starts 9th today. But there's a lot more we haven't even talked about. So there's a lot of stories, but a lot of good things to talk about. So I'm looking forward to this one as much as you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really excited to see Alexa Luchon back. I think that this is going to be a fantastic race for her. I'm so excited to see how it all plays out for all of those great stories that we have. But I think that turn one is going to be fascinating to see who can get out front early and maybe take charge of this race. That's where I'm going to be watching once they take the green flag.
So with that being said, we have 42 cars ready to take to the streets, and we are ready to bring you that action now. This is the 1UP Nitro National Series from Trois Rivieres in the heart of Quebec, and the green flag is going to get ready to drop on the field and get this great race underway once again. Getting ready for a great day of racing here in the city, it is Henry Thomas and Logan Williams on the front row. Taking us to the green flag. The rest of the field still making their way through the last chicane, but we are underway. And Henry Thomas leads the field off into turn one. He's side by side with Logan Williams. The field starts to fan out a bit, but the front of the pack starts to get single file before we head onto the bridge.
And I'll tell you what, that's a great job from Henry Thomas right there to get far enough ahead of that 83 car before the track switches back around. Logan Williams had a shot of staying to the outside there and possibly taking the lead to the inside of the track, but a good job from Henry Thomas keeps him out front.
Oh, but we got some contact for back in the pack. The field stacking up behind. It looks like Ryan Arnold in the 10 with a little bit of contact. Nicky Martinez also grazed the barriers a little bit. But it's Henry Thomas out in front right now, leading us into the hard braking zone. There's a couple of those around the lap. But so far, he's just building his lead out in front as we got a crash in the back. Nick Breeding, Austin Scott involved in this one, and it looks like it is Ryan Arnold in that 10 car pluming smoke from the back of that number 10 Toyota. He looks to be done already.
Yeah, that's a lot of cars involved in that one. That's a significant accident for those vehicles, Ryan Arnold. I have a feeling that these cars are going to be retiring from the race very shortly after that one.
But Henry Thomas leads the first lap, and he's got about an 0.8 of a second lead over Logan Williams. Eric Monaco settles in the third. Elijah Ironhouse, Braden Varga complete the top 5. So we head through turn 3. This is where that's where the problem area is probably going to be for the rest of the day. That and the corner coming up right next. That is going to be this heavy braking zone. This is probably the heaviest braking zone on the lap, as they brake hard for the 90-degree left-hander.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, this track just is so narrow on corner exit. Every single time you're trying to use all the track that you can. In fact, you'll see a lot of these drivers going even over beyond that yellow line that kind of indicates the safety zone as far as where you can put your tires without hitting the wall. You'll see drivers go even beyond that to get as much racetrack as they can here. And it's just, sometimes it just goes wrong when you're driving 2-3 wide, especially on the very start of the race. Everybody packed up with each other. That's just how it goes when you have such narrow corner exit space like we do here on this street course.
And Henry Thomas, he just continues to extend his advantage at the top of the table. You see a little bit of skid marks there from a little bit of contact. We'll see who that was later. Oh, and we got some more cars on pit road, and it's two of the favorites as Kenneth Grant.
That is a terrible spot.
He's out of the race. He's got some heavy smoke pouring out of that 53. But those two cars I saw on pit road, those were some of the favorites going in. Alexa Luschan in that blue and white 30 car. Nicky Martinez, who won this race a year ago. And J.R. Bedard, who calls this city home, all involved in accidents early on.
Wow, some of our good stories for the day have been taken out of this one. And that is a really hard... Looks like Luschan is going to be able to continue, but...
Bedard is also able to continue, and Martinez should follow them out soon, but they're going to be out of contention for the win, surely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're not going to get a caution in this race, so to be put that far back early, you're just going to have to hope for others' misfortune to be able to gain positions at this point. So that is a seriously tough break for a lot of those drivers. And, of course, we're going to get replays at the end of this event here, but look at that. We got people hitting the wall and people coming in the pit road right now.
That was Matt Johnson in the 05. He must have had some contact earlier. Maston Rimble got into the wall at turn 3. We saw that a moment ago. But Henry Thomas has grown his lead out to a full second now over Logan Williams. As we look through the rest of the field, see where your favorite driver is running in this one. But we've got a lot of drivers mired deep in the field. Luschan, Bedard, and the Martinez all almost a minute behind already, plus 3 cars out of the race, soon to be 4 once Kenneth Grant pulls out.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that's just gonna, I mean, the beginning of this race has been pretty interesting so far. We've had a lot of incidents, so all that means is that the spotters need to be telling all these drivers to be careful. Don't wreck your car right now. Obviously, this track is slick. This track is tight. It is hard to navigate. So you don't want to push too hard at this point in the race because you want to have a car left at the end of it. There are several drivers that don't anymore, and they have already lost their chance. The other interesting thing about all these cars with big damage and they're coming back out on the track, we might get some significant lap traffic for the leaders in this race of damaged cars that have made pit stops and been on and off the pit road and trying to repair all that. So they're going to be slower, and these leaders are going to be approaching at some point today, and that could impact the race for the win.
And just see how hard Logan Williams got on the brakes there for that corner. That was impressive. As John McFadden, another local, gets involved in an incident of his own, and now he's on pit road. Rough day for the Canadian drivers in the Canadian race, but just goes to show you familiarity isn't everything here for these cars, because you got to be on top of your game at all times. As we look at our points leader going into today, Cody Goforth, he's doing a good job hanging on to 7th spot. He is about 7 seconds off the lead, but so far doing what he needs to do to keep the points lead for the moment, unless Logan Williams can get the lead here.
Yeah, and this is an interesting battle that we have. I mean, Henry Thomas was able to get out front early. He was able to have a great run through turn 1. And then also through turn 2 to stay out ahead of that 83 car. He jumped out there pretty quickly to nearly a second ahead. And since then, it has stabilized. He hasn't really gone farther than a second ahead right now. That 83 of Logan Williams is able to just stay right there with him, about a second behind. And along with third and fourth and fifth, they are all just kind of maintaining that gap that they have to the leader right now. So Henry Thomas not pulling away, but he's also not losing any time to those behind him as well. That could change with a lapper ahead of them. It could cause problems pretty soon in this one.
And keep in mind as well, the tire fall off here is quite extreme. It's about 2 to 2.5 seconds from the beginning of a stint to the end of the stint, which should be about 20 laps. So an undercut would be fantastic here. If Logan Williams, Eric Monaco, even Elijah Ironhouse were quick to pull the trigger when we get to that point in the race, I'm not saying it's the best strategy, but I'm not saying it's the worst, as Martinez caught the wall again off that corner.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what about the undercut strategy. That is something that is very important to continue watching. That 2.5 second gap between the leader and whoever it is. So, like you said, right now, Elijah Ironhouse is just barely outside that window of being able to pit one lap ahead of the leader to gain that up to that position after the pit stop based on the lap time. So we'll see. It would be really beneficial for Henry Thomas to start pulling away and start gaining a lot more time on these guys, but he's just not able to right now at this point in the race. So we'll see if maybe he's saving his stuff. He's going to try to put it on at the end of the run, but he lost a little bit of time on that lap, it looks like. Yeah, he lost a couple tenths on that lap to the 83 car. So this is going to be fascinating to watch the battle of wits here. It's like a chess game at this point in the race with the strategy. When are you going to make your pit stop? How far behind are you when you do make the pit stop? And are you going to be able to make passes on the exit?
Because theoretically, you would be able to make it to the end of the race by pitting as early as the end of lap 16 here. So I'm not. Again,
yeah,
it'd be very interesting to see someone try it. Maybe a Cody Goforth, a Riley Hooper, Cameron Brennan would be a great candidate for that. He's got nothing to lose, really, in the points chase. So I would not be surprised to see someone like that maybe pull the trigger early on like lap 16, 17, and see if you can drag anyone else with you.
Yeah, and it's also fascinating. I mean, you'd be kind of playing to the fact of how difficult it is to pass here at this track, and it looks like we've got several drivers making a pit stop right now. This could be for damage. I think it's a little too early.
Yeah, that's for damage. Cam Stevenson and Maston Rimmel in the 98 and the 1, respectively. So they are going to be a bit off sequence, but we'll see what they can do with that. We're on lap number 9 now. The gap is about 3/4 of a second between Thomas and Williams. Eric Monaco hanging steady in third. We've got 3 Team Duke Chevrolets in the top 5, which is a good day for the team, but I expect Williams to want to go one better.
Yeah, I would expect that as well, and hopefully they're brewing up some sort of strategy idea. I do like that idea of possibly pitting around lap 11 or 12. You give yourself several laps, possibly up to 8 laps of fresher tires. So if you do achieve the undercut and pass several cars after they make their pit stop, they will have significantly fresher tires than you, but maybe you'll be able to hold them off. I mean,
it is hard to pass here.
Yeah. So it's fascinating strategy. It's something that maybe some people are considering. I wouldn't expect it from any of those drivers in the top 5, but like you were saying, Cody Goforth, Riley Hooper, they might be the perfect candidate back there in 7th and 8th. They're not close enough to make the traditional undercut of just 1 or 2 laps work, but this kind of enhanced risk kind of undercut might just work out for them.
One thing to keep in mind, if you do go for that strategy and pit in about a lap or 2, if you hustle on those fresh tires as Thomas grazes the wall there, if you go for that and you start pumping in fast laps, you might catch the back of the field, and that will slow you down considerably. So you got to balance the risk versus reward of doing that. You want to give yourself time to catch the back of the field again, but you also don't want to get caught in that traffic and lose time unnecessarily.
Yeah, that would be pretty much the end of the road for that strategy. If you did catch any traffic, you'd have to have clear track for the entire time. And you're going to be waiting about 8 laps for everybody else to make their pit stops at that point. So That's a great point. I wonder if anybody will attempt it, especially near the front because of how spread out the field has become.
But notice on that last lap, Logan Williams took about a quarter of a second, maybe even more, out of Henry Thomas's lead. Granted, the 12 did hit the wall out of that left-hander, the 90-degree left, at the end of the long straightaway. But Williams still gained a bit of time, and it would not surprise me if the 83 started chipping in bit by bit now that the runs continued on for a bit longer. And notice that the top 6 are actually starting to pull away quite considerably from 7th place Goforth. He might be the cork in the bottle, even though he is our points leader going into this. If Williams can get out ahead of Thomas and win this race, and Goforth finishes where he is, the points lead would change hands.
Yeah, so this is a big race for Logan Williams here. I mean, he's staring down the points lead right now. That 12 car is effectively the lead in the championship for Logan Williams right now. If he can make that pass and make it stick, regardless of if it's on track or in the pit lane, you're right. That would be a huge moment for this 83 team. They have been right there all year, and they're really living up to the name of that car. You know, the past few years, we've seen that car do really, really well, especially at road courses. And now, once again, picking up the torch that was handed to him, Logan Williams has been fantastic so far this year. So we'll see if he can make that brilliance continue in this one with some strategy or possibly an on-track pass. He has been gaining each and every lap, so it'll be interesting to watch.
I did notice Williams seems to be best on the brakes going into that 90-degree left. That's where he really gains most of his time in this race, so it'll be very interesting to see if that continues or not. But as he's getting closer to this 12 car, he's bringing Monaco and Ironhouse with him, so I would not be surprised if this became a 4-car battle for the lead, as we only have 38 runners still left, 35 of which are on the lead lap.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that same corner, the 12 has been sliding through that corner for pretty much the entire race. Coming out of there, you can watch his car just slide, 4-wheel slide out of the corner, up and towards the wall. Like that one lap, he even grazed that wall a little bit. So you don't want to play with that fire very much. We're heading down there now, so we're going to see what happens. But you can tell that it's a little bit downhill on the track right there, so it's pretty tough to get through this corner. We'll watch Cody Goforth go through and see if he is sliding at all. So he makes that left, and we're not going to get to see if anybody slides this time. But yeah, just keep your eye out for that, because that is the trouble corner.
Making our way now into the hairpin, you see they graze that concrete on the outside edge, and then again on the apex of the corner. One thing I'm noticing, though, is Matt Johnson in that 05 car. He's doing a good job staying ahead of these guys and not falling into the clutches of the leaders. As you see Alexa Luchon back on pit road for what should be her final stop of the day, if everything goes well. But it has been a rough comeback for the 30, at least in this race. I think she's scheduled for a couple more races this year with the team, but not until, I believe, Chicagoland and Memphis. So yeah. She'll be hard at work in the simulator trying to shake the rust off, but this has been a tough comeback for Alexa Luchon.
For sure. And that's, it's a bit of a tough break, but I don't think that the spirits should be too low for this driver and even this team as well, because this is a tough track to come back to, a significantly difficult circuit to drive on, even by yourself out there. Starting mid-pack, that is a tough situation. So, I think that just getting her out there, making sure that she can complete as many laps as she can today to get back in the swing of things, I think is going to be a big positive for that team. Stay in the race. And
remember, this is her first time here. She did not race this event last year. She took a leave of absence before this race came up on the schedule. So these are her first laps on this track in competition. So
there you go.
So that might be what's holding her back, but of course that incident surely didn't help. But even she qualified better than half the field, so that's still a good run for this 30 team. Nothing to be ashamed about, surely.
Absolutely not. I mean, it's a good sign for improvement down the road, and I think that that's a really solid partnership. A great grab from James Ellison to pick up Alexa Luchon and get her back in the car as soon as possible.
But right now, the race leader is Henry Thomas, and you see Eric Monaco just barely grazed that wall on corner exit. That might drop him into the clutches. of Elijah Ironhouse here shortly. But we're closing in on the halfway mark of this race, and we've had some skirmishes, especially in the early laps, but for now, seems to be a calm and orderly race, at the front anyway, but that should change once we get pit stops.
Yeah, and the window is open at this point, so pretty much any of these laps, I mean, we're going to be looking closer to lap 20, I would expect, for a lot of these cars, but like I said, the window is open, so any lap really would be a valid lap for somebody to make a pit stop, and we're just going to have to see who is able to play that card first. If I was Henry Thomas, I would be thinking about pitting in the next 2 laps, maybe around lap 18, to try to defend against the undercut in all possible circumstances.
How about Maston Rimmel? He had some problems early in the race, dropped off the lead lap, but he's now got the fastest lap of the race. He's the only one in the 64-second bracket, so impressive stuff from the one team who had a really good day at Richmond last time.
Yeah, Maston Rimmel has been impressing as of late, and of course, a little bit of clean air, some fresh tires, we've been able to showcase what that one car is really capable of so far in this one, setting the fastest lap time of the day so far. So we'll see if that stands after everybody else makes their pit stop. I would expect, though, that it's got a solid chance.
But right now, this is the halfway lap right here. They take the cross flags now, and we'll see what the gap is. It looks to be smaller than it was before. Oh yeah, it's down to about 2/3 of a second now between Thomas and Williams. So that 83 is closing the gap. I think Williams might be setting himself up here. He'd pump in some really fast laps. Once he catches the back of the 12, that's when he might make the dive to pit road.
Yeah, and he's going to be able to be close enough that he will see that the 12 car is staying out, and he'll be able to dive down into the pit lane before the 12 has ever has a chance to react. So that's going to be a good spot for the 83 car. Now, also, he will have time to react. If the 12 car makes the pit stop, you can jump into the pits as well. You don't want to get caught out an extra lap, especially against the person who's already ahead of you. At least give your crew a chance to maybe beat them on the exit of the pit lane. So it looks like nobody is pitting this time, at least not in the top 4, but we are closing in on that part of the race, and that is going to be what decides this one, I believe. It's going to all happen, be down to the crews, down to the crew chiefs, and it's going to happen in the pit lane.
But we got to give credit where credit is due. Henry Thomas has done a great job, and he's not known to be a good road course racer, but he's showing. And like we said at the top of the show, he feels like this country owes him something after what happened in Montreal. He dominated that race in the Superstar Series back in 2022. He led up until 2 to go, and that's when Devin Fair slipped past to take his first career win. And we know what Devin's done in the Superstar Series since then. So Henry Thomas, he has gotten so close a number of times, but this might be his day if all goes to plan.
I'll tell you what, I mean, Henry Thomas had an amazing first set of corners to be able to hold that 83 behind and stick to the inside and not allow Logan Williams to have really any chance of passing. So we'll see if anybody makes a pit stop here.
Nope.
Nobody this time. Wow, okay, so now we're kind of in the danger zone here because it's lap 18. We're about to cross over into lap 19. We are looking towards the end of the fuel run, so people will have to start pitting soon. Who is going to make their move first?
And it wouldn't surprise me to see, like, the 01, the 69, the 86. Wouldn't surprise me if one of them tried to make a stop early to try and latch onto the back of this train and try and get a better finishing position as a result. Because they are about 4 seconds off 6th place Kev Shearer at the moment. So if they were to pit first, get a couple laps in clear air, they'd be able to latch right onto the back of this train immediately.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised that nobody pitted on lap 18. That was the lap I kind of had circled for people to start making pit stops. So that is fascinating. Something else I've noticed, the 0 car and the 20 car have started to gain a little bit of time on the top 4. The top 4 had been on a little bit of a breakaway, but now you can see that those 2 cars have started to catch up. Here's passing the pit lane again. And once again, nobody has entered the pits. I am shocked by that.
I think they want to save their tires for the end when they know they're going to need them later on. But I think we've got a taker on pit road, and we do. And it's our points leader, Cody Goforth.
There you go. There you go. That's a huge move for Cody Goforth. Somebody who looks like Reed is also in there.
Yeah, Ryan Reed pit with him, but there's Cody Goforth. He was the first of the top 10 to jump to pit road.
That is a huge move for the 01 car, because now he was looking at a situation where maybe Logan Williams wins this race, maybe he loses the points lead. Make that pit stop a lap earlier, jump ahead of a few cars, and then don't let that happen. Oh, we got a pass by Earl Sear happening here on McFadden. I think that is not for position, though. That's a lap. John McFadden, I believe, is a couple laps down right after his
Yeah, he is a lap down, so Earl Sear is making the pass. That's not for position. But I think if they don't pit now, something's got to be going on here. And they don't. They must know something we don't, because this is the far end of the fuel run. Yeah. I'm a little surprised at this, but we'll see if anyone at the back end of the field. Mac Johnson, he pit, I saw. So it's
boy, that's fascinating. Cody Goforth is in an incredible position right now.
Martinez is in, but she was a lap down too.
Unless Goforth has exit the pit in a big group of cars, I think that Goforth is going to be able to gain a ton of time. In fact, he might be up into the top 5 after that, because think about it. If you're looking at,
he was about 7.5 seconds off the lead when he pit.
So he could gain possibly up to 4 or 5 seconds in these 2 laps before everybody else pits. I mean, you're looking at possibly top 5, top 4 in this one if you get lucky, depending on where that 01 car has come back out onto the track.
Oh, Williams ran wide through that corner.
Oh, boy.
A rare mistake from the 83, but that might put him in an opportunity to jump the 12 if he... Yes, here he comes, Williams into the pits.
There it is. Wow. Logan Williams in the pits now, and that's a huge move because no one else has pitted.
Henry Thomas stays out on the racetrack. Looks like we got some more takers. Ashton Blevins was running in the 9th position. He also pits, but Logan Williams, a very lonely man on pit road, but that might be a good thing for him.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I am still shocked that nobody else has pitted this time with the 83 car, or even before that.
We got Aiden Clare in the pits as well in the 00, so we got a trickle of cars coming in.
Goforth. Look at all the room Goforth has in front of him. He's able to set qualifying laps out there. This is going to be huge for the 01 car.
Yeah, Thomas and Monaco, Ironhouse and Varga, they got to be in this time. They have no other choice.
I know it's a defensive play now. You have to react to what has happened so far in this one, and you have to be starting to get a little bit worried that the 01 car might be able to get ahead of all of them after this is all said and done.
I think he had to pass the 7 though, so he might not lose gain as much as he hoped.
But Thomas comes in, Monaco.
Yeah, he's bringing everybody with him.
Everybody's pitting this time. Yeah. Wow, I cannot believe how long it took for all of these cars, and now the pit lane is going to be so busy. It looks like there we got a couple that are still staying out.
Those are the lap cars, though.
Yeah, they're the lap cars, so we're okay. But I'll tell you what, this is going to be an incredibly busy pit road.
And this is not what you want here at Trois Rivieres.
Absolutely not.
You don't want to be on pit road with a whole group of people. It's not like a super speedway in that regard. Here is Logan Williams. He is right on the back of the train.
Oh, not anymore, though. So the traffic, so this is going to be...
He's got Bedard ahead of him. Oh, and
out of the final corner.
That was Brian Laughlin. He got into the back of Jensen Nomina, or was it the other way around? Either way, a lot of damage on those two. But we're looking for Logan Williams. He's coming up on Thomas. He's going to have the inside line, and he is clear. Williams to the point.
An incredible situation there for the 83. Just barely has gotten ahead, and they're still almost side by side. Williams has taken the lead away from Henry Thomas. He's got 1 lap older tires, though, so we'll see if the 12 on cold tires, he needs to spend some time warming those things up.
Yeah, Williams' tires are already hot. Thomas has to warm his up. That could be the opportunity the 83's been looking for here.
I am also very curious to find out
where... Monaco hard into the wall off of the left-hander. That's going to cost him a lot of time. It's going to draw him into the clutches of Elijah Ironhouse and Braden Varga hot on the scene as well.
Oh boy, now they're side by side behind Eric Monaco for that position. Monaco, all he did with that was cause those two behind to start battling for the position. So Monaco's going to end up okay after that. Boy, oh boy, that's a lot of damage on the 62.
Yeah, he's coming in. He might, if he doesn't pull out of the race, it's certainly going to take him out of contention. There's a couple others on pit road for an extended period. Aiden Smith in the 23, 72 in the pits as well. They're going to lose a lot of time.
So where has Cody Goforth ended up
He's
in all this?
He's not even in the top 10.
No, I wonder what happened to Cody Goforth, because I was really expecting that car to be farther up the order, and he has lost positions.
He must have, he must have hit some traffic on the way, because that is not.
Well, maybe he hit the wall, because that is significant for Cody Goforth. So that strategy did not work out at the end of the day for him. And the 12 is in the wall right there and losing a bunch of time now.
Yeah, he's trying too hard at this point to catch the 83.
Yeah,
but
I totally agree
one
with
thing
that.
that might work in his favor, Logan Williams is coming up to lap J.R. Bedard here, and that could be a factor as well.
That's true, and this 40 car, I mean, we haven't seen a lot out of this 40 car, but I can't imagine this is going to be the easiest pass ever. I mean,
no, because remember who's driving that thing. J.R. Bedard grew up in this town. He knows these streets to perfection. He's probably the most experienced driver here at this place, even though this is his first time here in a Nitro National car. But either way, and in fact, this is his first time in any Nitro National Series race. So, way to do it at home, I guess. But I'm sure he wanted something better than to run just off the lead lap.
Look at this, and now Henry Thomas is really gaining a lot of time on the 83 down this straightaway. I think that the 83 had a bad corner exit right there and has lost all that time to Henry Thomas. This battle is not over by any means, and now they're both in that dirty air from the 40 car, who is going to be a tough pass. I mean, the only reason the 40 car is back there is because of a little bit of trouble at on the lap 1, really, and had to make that pit stop. So it is no fault of the 40 car's speed that he is back there. So this could be really fascinating to see how it all plays out.
They might even catch John McFadden up ahead before they even pass the 40.
Yeah, and that could also cause similar issues for the leaders.
See, Aiden Smith, he finally exits the pit lane. The 72 does the same. Now that's more lap traffic for the leaders to have to navigate. Now he and the 40 are going to be side by side in front of the leader.
Oh my goodness, this is the worst nightmare for the 83 right now. Finally was able to get ahead of the 12 on a pit strategy.
You see that? He looked at it. He was looking at a move going in there, but he just didn't have the space to make it. Now the 83 is getting held up by Bedard. That could give Thomas an opportunity, but he can't take it unless he sends it 3 wide, which would be a really bad idea.
That would be incredibly risky at this point in the race.
And he doors Bedard for good measure.
Oh my goodness, a shoulder check coming out of the corner from the second place driver, and now Eric Monaco might have an opportunity. There's not enough room on the track. Oh, and Monaco isn't even going to be able to get past the 40 car at this point, so that's going to force a wedge in between second and third places in the form of the lap car of J.R. Bedard. So this is a really fascinating situation that we have developing for those positions, but Henry Thomas still with eyesight, laser vision on that 83 car out front.
5 laps to go, and Logan Williams lead. It's 9/10 of a second now, but he has got some more lap traffic to deal with in the form of John McFadden in the 27 and Dennis Kadyryashov in the 72. This could be very interesting to see how they get along, because remember, the 72's got a little fresher tires than these guys, but he might have a bit of damage from an earlier incident. That might be what's holding him back, because you see Williams get really hard on the brakes. This is his best corner right here, and he should be able to make the pass with a little bit of a hip check to the 72 as well.
Yeah, that was almost really bad news for the 83, and now he's not going to be able to have that inside lane through that part of the corner. It switches back over, and the 12 is right on his bumper.
Yeah, but keep in mind, the hairpin's up next, so this is a really tight place to try and make a pass. He doesn't do it there, but now he's going to be side by side with the 72, and Williams gets pushed wide by the 27. And now it switches back, and they make contact out of the final chicane. That could open the door for Thomas as well as we come to 4 to go.
This is incredible from the lap vehicles battling with the leaders to try to stay at that point. There won't be a caution in this race. It just isn't possible at road courses in this series. So I'll tell you what, I'm not sure what they're battling for, but they certainly are battling, and it is making this battle for the lead exciting, because the 12 car is right on the bumper of our leader, Logan Williams, who has been battling literally wheel to wheel with these drivers who are now side by side with each other. There goes Williams to the inside of McFadden, who has had a terrible corner. I'm not sure what has happened to the 27 car, but something has gone wrong.
The two leaders pass him easily.
Yeah, both of them drove by, so that will no longer... I mean, that's only forcing the wedge deeper between second and third, so I think Eric Monaco is in a really tough spot now. Might not be able to gain any more spots in this one because of those lap cars.
And look at how they're stacking up behind him. You got Braden Varga, who just passed his teammate Ironhouse to move up into fourth spot. Kev Shearer's lurking back there. And how about Brian Laughlin and his Nitro National debut? He's running in the top 10 in 7th.
Yeah, I mean, those are some incredible stories that we have back there, and they're all stacking up because of the lappers that are just in the way right now. I mean, we've been talking about it all day. It is extremely difficult to make passes at this track. It's just so narrow on corner exit. I mean, you've got a lot of passing zones, a lot of heavy braking zones, but
Just so narrow.
there's just no room sometimes. So that is tough for all those drivers battling for position behind those cars.
And look at the razor thin margins there that these guys have to navigate. We got a slow car on track. That's the 42 of David Meskey. And our Daytona winner from earlier this year, but he has had no luck since then.
Oh, look out.
Yeah, he's getting clear out of the way. That's good. He's staying as far to the left as he can. Give these guys an opportunity to pass, but his day might be done due to some sort of issue on the racetrack. But he should be able to safely get it to pit road without much issue, as we now come to 2 laps of racing to go.
And now the gap is pretty much bigger than it's ever been between our leader Logan Williams and Henry Thomas, now in second place. I think Henry Thomas led a little bit more earlier in this race, but Williams now has his biggest lead of the day, and that 72 car now, not stuck behind John McFadden, is able to drive away from Logan Williams a little bit on fresher tires. So Williams is experiencing a little bit of clean room to race here, along with the 12 car who is chasing him down. The intensity has gone down between these two drivers in their battle for the win, with only a couple laps left, so we'll see if the 83 can hang on to it.
Lap and a half to go, as it looks like they're going to approach the hairpin here. We are coming to the white flag this time. You see that damage on the side of Henry Thomas's car. It doesn't look too severe, and if this isn't an aero-dependent racetrack, but you just never know what can impact a team and what can't, as Logan Williams is coming to take the white flag for the final lap here at Trois Rivieres.
Wow, and an incredible run from Logan Williams and Henry Thomas as well. I mean, these two cars have been the class of the field all day. You know, the 44 and the 0 and the 8, who are swapping positions a little bit farther back.
And you see that? They just lost about 4 seconds in that one lap alone.
Yeah, they are really struggling back here. Look at this. They're behind the 40.
Yeah, but Varga actually got past Eric Monaco for third, so...
Yeah, so all these drivers, a great run, but especially Logan Williams. I mean, it took the strategy call of bringing that car in one lap before the 12, and it was always going to be that call that was the race-winning call. Beat him off of the pit lane on fresh tires, and Logan Williams is heading to the final set of corners.
He won at New Hampshire last year. That was his first career win. Now he's looking for his first on a road course, and what a win this will be as he makes his way through the final chicane for the final time. Logan Williams has tamed the streets of Trois Rivieres, and he is your winner today after 31 laps. Williams gets it done in Canada, and Henry Thomas once again in the northern lands comes oh so close to a win, but once again he'll have to settle for second.
Boy, it is going to be so sweet for Henry Thomas once he finally gets it done on one of these Canadian tracks. And I'll tell you what, almost had it today. Should have pitted a few laps earlier, and that's all it would have taken. I mean, that car had what it took, the driver had what it took today, and it just was not enough. Came up one position short. A huge disappointment for Henry Thomas is elation for our new points leader, Logan Williams, who is definitely going to take the points lead after what happened to the previous points leader.
Goforth, yeah.
Goforth.
And keep in mind as well, Henry Thomas, he finished second at Montreal too, so this is going to be a very bitter pill to swallow for him. Going over the rest of the top 10, Varga, Monaco, Ironhouse the top 5, then Kev Shearer 6, Laughlin, despite some very heavy damage on the back of that 81, gets his top 10 in his series debut in 7th. Ashton Blevins, another great run for him in 8th, ahead of Riley Hooper. And Cameron Brennan gets his second top 10 of the year, ahead of Robert Weaver and Bronson Minnick. But the field makes their way on the pit road now. Oh, looks like Ryan Griffin had a bit of a crash. Or some sort of incident on the last lap. Something must have happened to him, because he has parked it on pit road with a lot of damage to that 92 machine.
That is tough. That is a tough way to end the race for anybody on the final lap to be taken out of it. So,
and keep in mind, he was 12th in the points going in, as we're going to get you some replays here in a moment. So it looks as though this is where it all starts on the opening lap. Griffin tried to force a hole between the two Crossroads cars. That's what sent Lucian and Bedard out of shape. McFadden as well, and that meant Ryan Arnold went way wide and into the tires.
Yeah, they were 4 wide after all that.
They're still 4 wide here.
Oh, good lord. And then this, and how does this end well? I mean, look at these cars.
Spoiler alert, it doesn't.
I mean, oh my gosh, wow.
They're leaning on each other. 4 wide heading into the corner. That is not going to work. I'm amazed more cars weren't involved in this.
Yikes. Yeah, that is a tough hit for a lot of drivers, and we caught it live at the very end of it there. But yeah, they were crashing for the entire beginning of the track. It looked like, I mean, they just never stopped wrecking each other until they finally halted on the track. Man, oh man, that is tough.
So this is Kenneth Grant. He was running just inside the top 25 when heading into the hairpin. It looks like he might have been caught out a little wide, maybe by some cars in front pitting. Yeah, Lucian came to pit road and Grant just stacked it into the tires. Tegan Fox as well with nowhere to go. And then
bad. Yeah, Grant should have pulled into the pit lane right there.
I think it was too acute an angle for him to make it, and he's just trying to get out of the way now. It's at this point when he comes across this barrier meant to keep guys from shortcutting the chicane, and it just wedges him in, and that's what ends his day.
Yikes. That is tough luck.
I'm amazed no one's done that in the 2 years we've been here up to this point.
Yeah.
So this is the last one we're showing you. It's Ryan Griffin. This was either with 2 to go or on the white flag itself. These guys all started stacking up behind the 42, and he just ran wide and bam, into the tires he went. Tough way to end the day.
Yeah. Just, that's just how it works out sometimes. I mean, that is just...
And this is not going to do anything to help his hatred for these road courses, I'll tell you that much.
No, it won't. No, it will not. That is just going to enhance that situation.
But that is going to do it for us from Trois Rivieres. But what a race we had, honestly. It was a lot better, I feel, than we had last year, and I'm sure it'll be better, even better the next time we come here. But from Duke Anzac and from myself as well, we say goodbye from the streets of Trois Rivieres. We'll see you again for the second of our 3 road courses in succession at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, at the road course there. That is going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure, more than previous years, and we're looking forward to that one as much as you are. So we'll see you again at Indianapolis. So long from here, though. Congrats to Logan Williams, his second career win and his first on a road course.